Good morning. The 6:30 a.m. news with Patience Wingo. The main points. The intermediate Lions of Cameroon will today clash with the Leopards of the DRC in the quarterfinals of the ongoing CHAN tournament. Meanwhile, the interim president of the Confederation of African Football (CAF) has commended Cameroon's authorities and its president Paul Biya for making available state-of-the-art facilities for the 2020 African Nations Football Championship (CHAN). The visiting Secretary of State of the Vatican has conveyed to the Cameroonian people a message of peace and reconciliation from His Holiness Pope Francis. Those are the headlines. Now, the news in full. The head coach of the Intermediate Lions of Cameroon says his team is ready to face DR Congo squarely in the quarterfinals of the ongoing CHAN tournament. Coach Martin Tungu-Pile, accompanied by Captain Salomon Banga Bijeme, were speaking yesterday in a pre-match press conference. We have details with Rene Kache.
Friday's presser with Intermediate Lions head coach Martin Tungu-Pile was more of a reassuring platform of Cameroon's readiness ahead of Saturday's crunch quarter-final clash against the DR Congo. A visibly relaxed and confident coach Mpile sucked the tones of pressure from the ever-demanding Cameroonian press. In his characteristic calm, Martin Tungu-Pile said his squadron is ready for the Congolese showdown in spite of the pressure, which is but natural. Captain Banga Bijeme also reassured he and his teammates are more than ready enough to defend the colors of a nation. Coach Mpile refused to reveal his strategy when a Congolese journalist wanted to know what solution he was preparing to solve the Congolese equation. It was also a forum for the Lions head trainer to clear the air when he said the players have all received their match bonuses. DR Congo coach Florent Ebenge and his striker also addressed the media shortly after their Cameroonian opposite number. DR Congo coach Florent Ebenge and his striker also addressed the media shortly after their Cameroonian opposite numbers. Coach Ebenge was full of respect and admiration for Cameroon when he said, quote, "We'll try to dominate Cameroon technically, tactically and otherwise, but Cameroon remains Cameroon." Striker Shiko Shindi Wakubanza, the first ever player to score at the Japoma Stadium, has already told the Cameroonian press that he is more comfortable playing in Japoma and that he will score tomorrow. As at the time of this report, 8 out of the 11 Congolese players who were in confinement for COVID have been tested negative. Meanwhile, the latest COVID-19 results show that Cameroon have no positive cases of COVID. Arman Baba, Brice Nsong, Rene Kache, CRTV News, the Japoma Stadium.
The interim president of the Confederation of African Football (CAF), Constant Omari, has hailed the government of Cameroon under the stewardship of President Paul Biya for the up-to-date sports infrastructure made available for the 2020 African Nations Football Championship (CHAN). He was speaking last night on the 10 p.m. televised bilingual newscast on the Cameroon radio television. During the exclusive interview granted to the state media, he said CAF officials are 80% satisfied with the impeccable organization of the football rendezvous. He encouraged Cameroonians to take advantage of the availability of such football infrastructure to spur football activities so as to regain their place in the African football scene. As for preparations ahead of AFCON 2022, he said all is ready, but for some last-minute touches at the level of the Yaoundé Olembe Stadium and the completion of some lodging facilities. He also said that as concerns the squabbles between Fecafoot and the Cameroonian Football League, the Cameroonian Football League must be answerable to Fecafoot, which is the umbrella organization of football activities in the country. And in relation to the suspension of allegations against Ahmad by TAS, he said until March 2, 2021, when proper investigations would have been effected, Ahmad can resume his duties as the president of the institution. As for today's match between Cameroon Cameroon's Intermediate Lions and the Leopards of DRC, he said the best team should win. Away from sports, the visiting Secretary of State of the Vatican has conveyed to the Cameroonian people a message of peace and reconciliation from His Holiness Pope Francis. His Eminence Cardinal Pietro Parolin also praised the cordial and excellent bilateral relations existing between Cameroon and the Holy See. He made the declaration shortly after a high-level audience granted him by the President of the Republic, Paul Biya, at the Unity Palace. We have details with King Edward.
Clad in his traditional black cassock and purple sash reserved for dignitaries of his rank in the Roman Catholic Church, His Eminence Cardinal Pietro Parolin, Secretary of State of the Holy See, arrived at the Unity Palace at the head of a high-level delegation. He was detailed by His Holiness Pope Francis to officiate over the ceremony of the handing over of the pallium to the new Archbishop of the Bamenda Diocese, His Grace Andrew Keir. The pallium, it should be noted, is an ecclesiastical vestment bestowed by the Holy See upon metropolitans and primates as a symbol of their conferred authority. On arrival at the Unity Palace for the courtesy visit, His Eminence Pietro Parolin was welcomed by the Minister Director of the Civil Cabinet at the Presidency of the Republic, Samuel Mvondo Ayolo, just before the summit encounter with the President of the Republic, Paul Biya, an ardent Christian of the Roman Catholic Church who enjoys a privileged relationship with the Holy See. Cardinal Pietro Parolin
touched also the different points about conflicts, about problems, and especially about the situation in north and southwest of the country, especially assuring the President of the willingness of the Catholic Church and of the Bishop of the region to give a contribution to the solution of this problem.
Relations between Yaoundé and the Vatican are deep-rooted, spanning over decades, and consolidated by the series of exchange visits at the highest level between the leadership of the two friendly states, plus the over 4.5 million Catholic faithful in Cameroon, to whom His Eminence Pietro Parolin addressed a message from the heart.
In this present situation where there is crisis, it is important to reach peace. Is the only condition to grow and to achieve a sustainable development everywhere.
A message of peace and reconciliation from His Holiness Pope Francis, destined to the hearts of Cameroonians, with a view of putting a stop to the socio-political crisis in the northwest and the southwest regions of the country. What a way to express the familiarity and the intimacy existing between the Cameroonian people and the Holy See.
And after yesterday's audience accorded him by the head of state, the Cardinal Secretary of State at the Vatican, His Eminence Pietro Parolin, was honored with a dinner offered by Prime Minister Chief Dr. Joseph Dion Gute on behalf of the President of the Republic. And it is worth noting that His Eminence is going to be officiating a special mass at the Mvolie Minor Basilica, where he is going to be praying for peace and serenity in Cameroon. Elsewhere, on our economic write-up today, staff lady Manka Ambe probes into what Cameroon in the Samak region and the Samak region stand to gain from the first civil engineering equipment and material assembly unit in Kribi.
It is a dream come true for civil engineers in Cameroon and the Central African sub-region, thanks to the civil engineering equipment and material assembly unit in the seaside resort town of Kribi. Spanning over 3 hectares of land, the assembly unit has an annual production capacity of 250 machines per year, and this will go a long way to speed up the realization of projects. We are all aware of how joblessness continues to be a cankerworm that must be eradicated in our societies. Such a jewel will therefore provide jobs to the surrounding populations and also boost the economy. Experts say this equipment that are being assembled in Cameroon will be bought for half the price that engineers used to acquire from foreign companies, buttressing the need to consume made in Cameroon products and, by extension, strengthen the sub-region. With the effective putting in place of the decentralization process, the civil engineering equipment and material assembly unit will provide Cameroonian municipalities with state-of-the-art equipment at affordable prices. The Chief Executive Officer of Tractor Free Company is also envisaging a partnership agreement with the Council Support Fund FACOM to facilitate the process. The machines from the Kribi Assembly Unit will be marketed throughout Central Africa, and reliable sources reveal that by the end of December 2020, the unit had sold 7 machines in Cameroon, Chad, and the Central African Republic.
And that is how we end this edition of the news brought to you by Patience Wingo. Stay tuned.